enough on its own. Okay, having surveyed that and wanting to get into the questions and allow Karen to offer her insights, let me just say a little bit about the legal consequences of these decisions about Israel's presence in the occupied territories. The court says there are consequences for Israel, for other states, including Canada, and for the United Nations. Israel, it says, should end all new settlement activity, repeal all legislation and measures which create or maintain the unlawful situation of Israel's presence in the occupied territories, provide full reparations for damages caused to all persons concerned, including restitution. Other states, including Canada, should wait for the United Nations to determine how to end the illegal presence of Israel in the occupied Palestinian territories. But once those decisions are made, all other member states must cooperate to effect those decisions, to put them into play. But there's an independent obligation that doesn't require any action by the UN for these other states to not recognize any changes in the physical character, the demographic composition, the institutional structure, or the status of the occupied Palestinian territories, except those agreed by Israel and Palestine, and an independent obligation to distinguish in their dealings with Israel, that is, for states to distinguish in their dealings with Israel between the territory, the state of Israel, and Palestinian territories occupied since 1967. And that includes taking steps to prevent trade or investment relations that assist in the maintenance of the illegal situation created by Israel in the occupied Palestinian territory. So here, clearly, you don't have an endorsement of BDS wholesale, but there is effectively a requirement for states that deal with Israel to clarify when and where they are dealing with entities and the state of Israel, and when they are dealing with occupied territories, right? And to avoid mixing those two, and to not support and not trade and not invest in anything that supports the illegal situation in the occupied Palestinian territories. Finally, the UN is required to make decisions about how to bring this unlawful presence to an end, to do the same thing about distinguishing in their dealings between the state of Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories, and to not recognize as legal the occupation or anything that comes of it. So these are three different sets of directions to Israel, other states, and the United Nations. There's things that we have to wait for. If you're a member state, you have to wait for the UN to do some things, but there are some things that you have to do now on your own, or you should do now on your own without waiting for the UN to get involved. I'll leave it there, and I'm sure Karen has some thoughts on these steps that could be taken and what's happening right now, and I'll let her get into that.